Welcome to the instruction video of our budget spreadsheet. In this video, I'll walk you through the step-by-step process of how to set up and customize this spreadsheet. The first tab you will find is the README tab. In the README tab, you'll find some helpful links, including the video tutorial you're currently watching, our tips and tricks and FAQ pages, and a link to our Etsy shop where you can send us a message if you have any questions after watching this video. You will also find quick instructions and some spreadsheet information. If you ever want to start over, you can click the New Template button to create a new copy of the original spreadsheet. Now let's go to the Start tab. At the top, you can check this little box to highlight all the fields in the spreadsheet that can be edited. We recommend doing this during setup to make sure you don't accidentally change any fields that shouldn't be changed. We've also protected all other fields that may contain some spreadsheet formulas, so if you try to edit a field that shouldn't be edited, you will see a warning appear, and if that happens, simply click Cancel to avoid any changes. The first thing you can do is change the currency symbol. The default is a $sign, but you can change it to any currency you want, and it will update everywhere in the spreadsheet. In this field, you can add any remaining amount you may have in your account that you want to include in this budget. Next, you need to fill in your categories for income, savings, expenses, bills, debts, and subscriptions. So for example, under income, you might have a first paycheck and a second paycheck and a bonus, for example. Basically, you can enter any categories you want. And I would also like to note that for bills, there is an extra bills category by default, which you can use for one-time payments or irregular bills. Now I'm just going to quickly fill in the other categories to show you how it works. Now let's go to the Budget tab. As you can see, the categories we entered on the Start tab have been updated on the Budget tab. Now what we recommend is that you basically create a one-time template of this Budget tab. This way, every time you have a new paycheck, all you have to do is create a duplicate of this template and adjust those planned amounts as needed. So if you are using this spreadsheet as a weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly budget, what we recommend doing is to basically enter all the different amounts of money that you might occur during the different paychecks. And then, when you create a duplicate, you can delete the amounts that are not relevant to that specific paycheck. So for example, let's say you expect to receive $2,500 for your first paycheck and $1,500 for your second paycheck, and you can expect a $500 bonus. Now you should basically distribute this income across savings, expenses, bills, debts, and subscriptions. Here you can see that we currently have $4,500 available for budgeting. And if we add some amounts for expenses, for example, you will see that the amount left for budgeting will start to decrease. You can allocate all of your income to these categories and end up with zero, or you can leave some funds for the next month if you'd like. Now I'll quickly fill in these budget amounts for the remaining categories. Finally, you can add due dates for bills, debts, and subscriptions, and they will automatically appear in the calendar. You don't have to enter them in order because they'll be automatically sorted for you. Now, once you've created this template, all you have to do is create a duplicate whenever you have a new paycheck. To do that, simply right-click on the tab name and select Duplicate. And you can also rename it. So let's say we're planning a budget for the second half of January, and you should update the dates as well, as the actuals will only be updated for that specific time frame. Now we can adjust those planned amounts. So for example, we don't need the first paycheck in this period since this is the second half of the month. And let's say we've already paid some bills and we've already paid off most of our debts. And we can also adjust those amounts for expenses and savings as well. So basically, you can simply delete or adjust these amounts for any specific paycheck. We've also included a rollover option, so if you want to use leftover money from the previous paycheck, you can just check this little box. And of course, since this is the first time we're budgeting, it will show the starting balance that we entered in the Start tab. But for the next paycheck, you'll see that it will show the exact amount left from the previous paycheck. You can also add a budget amount if you think you'll have some money left over each paycheck. The actual sections will update based on the transactions from the Log tab. So let's go to the Log tab to see how it works. In this tab, you should log all your transactions. Simply enter the date, choose the transaction type, select a category, and enter the amount. For example, let's say that on the 17th of January, you received a paycheck of $1,500. Once you enter it, you'll see that amount appear in the actual section for the second paycheck. Basically, when you log transactions, the spreadsheet will automatically update these actual sections for each category, and all the charts will update as well. Now I'll quickly add some additional transactions to show how this works. Now, if we go to the Budget tab, you can see that the actual sections and charts have been updated. Here you can see how much money you have left to budget and spend, as well as your total income and spending for this period. You can see how your balance has changed, and you can compare your planned and actual amounts. You will also be able to see the distribution of your income by different categories and the distribution of your spending on savings, expenses, bills, debts, and subscriptions. In addition, you can see your top 10 spending categories. For each new paycheck, simply duplicate the budget template again, and you can delete or hide the completed budget tab. Now let's go to the Calendar tab. As you can see, the bills are already shown on the calendar based on the due dates we entered on the Budget tab. Also, these bills will be sorted in chronological order for you, and basically all you have to do is update the month and year here at the top, and during that month, when you pay your bills, you can simply check these boxes, and you'll see that the paid bills will be highlighted so you can easily see what's been paid. Now you can also choose whether the week starts on Sunday or Monday. You can add your paydays, so for example, let's say you get your first paycheck on the 1st of the month, and your second paycheck on the 17th, and you'll see that these paydays also appear on the calendar. We also recommend creating a template for the Calendar tab, because this way you won't have to uncheck these boxes for each new month, and it would also be a good idea to leave these extra bills empty for the template. And then for each new month, when you make a duplicate, you can just add specific extra bills that may appear in that month. So basically, to create a template, make sure these boxes are unchecked and you haven't put any extra bills in yet. And just like with the Budget tab, just right-click on the tab name and select Duplicate. And you can also rename the Calendar tab. Now, all you have to do is update the month. So let's say it's currently January 2025. And also, you might have an additional bill for January. For example, it could be an annual bill that's due on the 5th, and you'll see the annual bill appear on the calendar. So when paying bills, simply check these little boxes, and the calendar will automatically update, highlighting the paid bills. For each new month, follow the same steps as with the Budget tab. Simply delete the completed Calendar tab and duplicate the template for the next month. And that is basically how this spreadsheet works. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us. Thank you for watching and have a great time.